Hey there, it's Toya with your Wednesday word, and today's word is be open to God's correction. Today we're coming from the passage of scripture in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 3 through 13. Starting in the New King James Version, it says, "For consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. You have not resisted to bloodshed, striving against sin, and you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks to you as to sons." Now, in the Amplified Version, verses 5b through 7, "My son, do not think lightly or scorn to submit to the correction and discipline of the Lord, nor lose courage and give up and faint when you are reproved, corrected by him. For the Lord corrects and disciplines everyone whom he loves, and he punishes, even scourges, every son whom he accepts and welcomes to his heart and cherishes. You must submit to and endure correction for discipline. God is dealing with you as with sons. For what son is there whom his father does not thus train and correct and discipline?" Now, the admonition here is that we should be open to God's correction and discipline because he is a loving father. Now, certainly, we all know that that doesn't necessarily feel good. It doesn't feel good to be corrected and disciplined because we just want to do what we want to do. But as the scripture says, he wouldn't be a father to us if he just let us run wild without chastening us. And what is this chastening? It is training us up as his children. It is educating and disciplining us by punishment. It is instructing us. It's teaching us. No, it doesn't usually feel good, but it is necessary. The scripture says that he loves and he punishes us, even scourges, which we would call a whooping, to great affliction if experienced. According to the scripture, he does this to every son he accepts and welcomes to his heart and cherishes. But in all this, we must be open to what God, our Father, is doing. And we must submit to and endure correction for discipline, for training and learning and instruction. Okay, so how do we stay open to this? The key is to not focus on what is painful, but to focus on God and our relationship with him. To stay open to him, we must keep in mind that he is dealing with us as his children. The scripture in verse 8 says, in the Amplified Version, "Now if you are exempt from correction and left without discipline in which all of God's children share, then you are illegitimate offspring and not true sons." So I'm saying to you, don't think it's strange or think you're being picked on because you're not. You're getting what every son or daughter gets. Verse 11 says, "For the time being, no discipline brings joy, but seems grievous and painful. But afterwards, it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Harvest of fruit which consists in righteousness, conformity to God's will, purpose, thought, and action, resulting in right living and right standing with God." That's again from the Amplified Version. Here's the thing. You don't experience the benefits of the discipline without the discipline. And often, all too often, too many want the benefits without the discipline, the glory without the story, the profit without the work. Now, why would God our Father act like today's snowplow parents and remove all of our obstacles from our paths? Or why would he, be hands off and leave us to ourselves if he loves us? We all know what happens to most children when left to themselves. We know how they turn out. So again, we have to be open to the discipline of God. It's an attitude thing. God's goal is to always transform us into the likeness of Christ and get his beauty to shine through us. And if we have an attitude that is resistant to God's discipline, his training, educating, instruction, however painful it may be, 1, we make it harder to receive discipline. 2, we block the blessings, the outcome that God has in mind. And 3, we delay the joy we could experience after we've learned the lessons. Listen, verse 12 says this, "Buck up, Barbie." No, it doesn't say that, but this is what it does say. "So then brace up and reinvigorate and set right your slackened and weakened and drooping hands and strengthen your feeble and palsied and tottering knees and cut through and make firm and and plain and smooth, straight paths for your feet. Yes, make them safe and upright and happy paths that go in the right direction, so that the lame and the halting limbs may not be put out of joint, but rather may be cured. That first line, so then brace up and reinvigorate and set right your slackened and weakened and drooping hands, to me sounds like buck up, Barbie, and get yourself together. Strengthen yourself, reinvigorate yourself. Do what you need to do to not faint. Do what you need to do to be healed and keep going. Take your medicine, get healed, and keep it moving so you can get what God has for you. You don't have to faint and grow weary under the hand of God. You can live and become if you are open to God's correction. Well, I'll see you next week. Be blessed.